This is chapter 3, the last chapter. So, just the brief synopsis. This guy got injured in battle, and then, what was she doing last chapter? The female main character just kneed him in the crotch, running away because she was trying to steal a tunic from his grandfather's belongings. So, that's what happened. This is the next part. I'm just looking for any feedback because I changed it to being in first person and I don't know about how I'm portraying how thoughts are being had since the character has OCD. So I'm trying to portray intrusive thoughts. I want to know if it makes sense, if it's interesting, any feedback. So I'll just read from here. How are your squash fruit coming in this year? Henry has taken a shine to gardening. He's coming around, I'm sure of it, but I think another summer at your place would do him well. Hearing the other guards patrolling the halls has him struggling to sleep through the night, and I'm hopeful you and Omar might be able to help him relax some. He's too old for this shit. It's been far too long. Maybe we can catch up over a pint too. Drinks on me. Recovered correspondence between William Amato and Timur Ahmad, undated. She's lucky I didn't kill her. My hand wrapped around the leather-bound hilt of the dagger I stashed beneath my pillow, but I hesitated when I saw her face. It was peculiar. She had the delicate features of a Vel, but the faint runic outlines trailing up her slender neck and shed no ghastly glow. Her long dark brown hair and thick shapely brows were almost harsh against her eerily pale skin, which was a shade lighter above her upper lip where a thin scar trailed to her slightly askew nose. It wasn't difficult to put two and two together. Faces like hers aren't exactly common in Embera. It was just past dawn as I finally gave up on sleeping. It's not easy to get rest after somebody knees you in the nuts, and the shock of waking up to somebody rifling through my drawers caused a tremor for longer than I'd like to admit. I used my hands to push off of the cobblestone and tried not to think about how much harder it was to do that now. Slipping on my tunic was enough for my blood to boil. I just wanted a tunic. She yelled that at me as she fled my home, stealing my grandfather's belongings, or at least what used to belong to him before he died. I was barely conscious when I found out. Al told me he was dead 3 times before then, but I apparently couldn't remember and kept asking if he'd written to him for me yet. She probably woke up on silk sheets worth more than the pathetic army pension I was discharged with. I bet somebody asked her if she was sitting down, gently broke the news to her, and then stroked her hair as she cried about a man who was supposed to be mine to mourn. I grimaced and grabbed my satchel. Her entitlement to my grandfather's belongings was disappointing but expected from Voluno nobility. I grabbed my sketchbook and wandered out to the dusk-bathed courtyard. The damp Iberian fog made it feel like I was slogging my way through waist-deep water. The red of my uniform sliced through the fog as I made my way over to the usual spot. I threw one leg over the retaining wall and then the other, perching where we always watched the sunrise together. Those times were my favorite, the ones spent in each other's company, wrapped in wool blankets and nursing steaming hot tea. When was the last time I spent the day with my grandfather? My throat was scratchy and uncomfortable. I didn't appreciate him enough when he was alive. I tapped my notebook 3 times with my pinky finger, then did it again because the last 3 taps felt like they ended on a wrong note that I can't put into words. I coughed and told myself my eyes were only stinging from an allergy. He would be furious if he knew I pulled Theodora Valentino down by her ankle. The anguish of guilt became a volcano in the pit of my stomach, sending plumes of hot smoke up into my head where my thoughts were supposed to be. Loosing a shaky breath, I opened my sketch pad and looked for a blank page. Scribbles from when I was younger filled the pages. Traditional Chiron healing incantations were freckled through the parchment, interspersed with mediocre sketches of bushy-tailed squirrels, enchanted ivy from the hillside, and a few unmentionable sketches from the recesses of my then pre-adolescent brain. My brain was too loud this morning, pinging between reality and the eruption of guilt brewing in the pit of my stomach. The thoughts came on fast, intrusive and demanding as always. I thumbed through another few pages, looking for distraction but finding more messy notes instead. The gasp of pain as she hit the hard cobblestone. A sketch of Calator's borders before the second sundering. A large, angry, frowny face was drawn over the capital city, which I'm going to change the name to, which is why it just says capital city. A drawn chart of herbs grown in the province. She writhed beneath me like an animal with its foot in a trap, terrified and desperate to escape. Isn't that what I wanted? I'm a real sick fuck and I just don't want to admit it. I listed all the reasons I would never want that on the next blank page. Guilt was creeping in, my chest growing tighter as I took the charcoal out of my bag and began sketching the outline of the charcoal part needs to be before that. Yep. Because, yeah, he needs to pull the charcoal, well, before he sketches. So I'll just notice that as I was reading it. I pulled the charcoal out of my bag and began sketching the outline of a small bluebird, fluffed and plump atop its nest of twigs in a tree a few paces to my left. I grunted and shut my notebook. That's out of order. Something happened there. Because it was, yeah, okay. I grunted and shut my notebook. She's the one who broke into my home, so why do I feel like I'm the one who needs to apologize? I walked back towards my grandfather's quarters. Duke Valentino told me I only had a week to gather whatever was left before my grandfather's replacement arrived. I fumbled with the keys at the weathered wooden door, edges rounded with the wisdom of centuries since the Valentino estate was crafted by the first men. My eyes swept over the wood grain, my shoulders sagging in relief as I found the 3 Kalatoran runes I scratched into the door many moons ago. Fingers grazing the smallest rune by the doorknob first, I reached for each rune one by one, the grooves beneath my calloused fingertips reassuring me of my existence. A crash echoed through the hall and I whirled, hand already drawing my dagger. A tangle of pale limbs and dark hair careened around the corner and slammed into me. What the fuck? I grumbled, looking down at my least favorite assailant. Wide olive eyes flicked up at me and then away, hand scrambling to her satchel like I was a common thief, ready to snatch it. I rolled my eyes. Why are you here? She rasped, looking over her shoulder and then back at me again. When she turned back, her whole body tensed, her eyes staring right through me. Again, shouldn't I be the one asking you that? She took a step back, hand leaving her bag. A small blade shook in her unsteady hand. I'm not going easy, you hear me? She screamed. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but only gaped, mouth opening and closing like a fish. She is terrified of me. I did this. See, I'm a monster of the worst kind, the kind that preys on the weak. The sound of footsteps wrenched me back into reality. I think it's broken, a wet, nasally male voice echoed throughout the hall. Stop your bitching. You'll get your time with her. Just keep her recognizable, another male voice added. Theodora's legs buckled, and I caught her by the elbow. Don't, she started, but it was no use. I grabbed her by her waist and threw her over my shoulder, her blade clinging to the floor. But what if I'm not? I turned and ran. I nearly made it to the retaining wall before I felt her teeth sink into my back through my tunic.